there that this will be up to the American people, you watching, to decide, was this a legal raid? Was this a raid in pursuit of justice, or was this a partisan act to take out not just a former president, but a potential candidate for president of the United States, and obviously, according to the latest polls, the leader of the opposition party? In order to know the answer to that question, the DOJ and the FBI will need to provide, and soon, the evidentiary and legal basis for this, and this is a very fair statement, unprecedented action by the Department of Justice. Let's talk about exactly what you, the viewer, what you, the American, should be taking away from this with Stephen Miller. He's a former senior Trump advisor, and he joins us with his reaction. Stephen, what a day in American history. Your reaction?
This is an abomination. You have the sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden, through his Justice Department, through his FBI, conducting a raid on the person who is presumed to be his opponent in the next election, and also the 45th president of the United States. As President Trump pointed out in his statement, it is risible that this would be purportedly done in the name of document preservation from the leaks we've seen, when Hillary Clinton used an off-book server for years to conduct classified state business, and at the same time, money was being funneled by the millions into the Clinton Foundation with the very people she was doing business with, that to this day has never been investigated, not by the FBI, not by the IRS, not by anybody. We are truly living in a situation where the FBI has become a Praetorian Guard from Rome, where they take it unto themselves to decide who wields power in this country.
You know, Stephen, I can't help but notice that for all that Trump was accused, it seems that Biden is intent on embodying. It was said that Donald Trump would, quote, lock her up. That did not happen, as you just pointed out, with Hillary Clinton. There was no raid of Hillary Clinton and her classified documents. But here now, under Joe Biden, there is exactly that pursuit. There is the use of law enforcement to go after his political opponent.
Let's talk about the security state that has been after President Trump for 6 years. When he declared his candidacy, and then when he became the nominee, they began pushing the Russian collusion hoax. Let's not forget, for years of our national life, the official position of the government, of the Beltway class, of the media, was that he had conspired illegally with the government of Russia, until that was completely and wholly debunked. Let us not forget the security state leak that was used to improperly and scandalously impeach him for simply trying to get to the bottom of well-known corruption in Ukraine. Let's not forget the completely fabricated story about Russian bounties that was dropped right before the election. Let's not forget the assertion that the Hunter Biden scandals, well documented on video, were Russian disinformation. And let's not also forget that the sitting president of the United States is completely, as far as we know, being held harmless for how he benefited from his son's business dealings. Where is the special counsel to look into how every penny of that income was handled by the Biden family, was handled by Biden, reported by Biden, and classified by Biden? It's not happening because, again, we have a branch, a division of government that has decided, throwing back to the eons before in the Roman Empire, that they can decide, that they are the guardians of the empire, they can decide who leads us and who doesn't. This is an unprecedented development for this country, and I would say nothing like this has happened, as far as I'm aware, in any other of our developed peers.
And what, therefore, do you think, Stephen, will be the fallout? You just laid out beautifully the power of allegation. You laid out beautifully the power of investigation. What occurred over the last 4 years amounted to nothing. We know the facts. We know what ended up, or what did not end up, in conclusion with all of those allegations and all of that investigation to Donald Trump and Russia. But the power of that investigation and that power of that allegation captured, held hostage America and a presidency for the better part of 4 years. Now you have a new investigation. You have a new allegation, Stephen. What happens? What's the fallout?
The only recourse that I can see in the near term, there'll obviously have to be a cleaning house in 2025, In the near term, there needs to be such a large majority elected in the House that they will have unquestioned ability to not only subpoena, but to impeach any and every official who is involved in wrongdoing, both current and past, and to ensure that we finally uncover the truth about who was involved in each and every one of the scandals and misinformation campaigns I just walked through. Because, as you said, the damage an investigation, a false investigation, can do is beyond imagination, and to live under the clouds for years of these fake investigations is not merely an attack on Donald J. Trump, but an attack on every single American who participated in democracy to make him president.
Stephen, I want to ask you this as we end our conversation. I can't help but note that this is a day as well when Congress has passed a bill to expand the IRS enforcement agency by 87,000 new agents. You know, I think the burden of proof for the DOJ on this allegation, this investigation into Donald Trump, is going to be more than the burden of proof in a court of law. The American people have lost trust in institutions, media, science, medical, FBI, intelligence agencies. What do you think on the back end of this, Stephen, will be the attitude of the American people towards institutions that have been granted inherited credibility for decades?
Well, look, people look at Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro facing jail, Eric Holder walking free, and they see that there is a double justice system, one for people that support the regime and one that are opposed to it. You talk about the 87,000 IRS agents. Yes, it's a violent attack on the economic welfare of our middle class, but it's also an ability to police speech in America, because what does the IRS do? They decide who's a nonprofit. They decide tax deductibility. They decide who is a political organization, who is a charity, who can be involved in our elections, who can't be. This is an enormous power that is now being given to the IRS to further put a bureaucracy that is lifetime appointed and unelected in charge of our political system. It's very frightening, I will tell you.
Yeah, and it just highlights this is about more than a former president. This is about the American people. Stephen Miller, you always put it into perspective well. I appreciate you being with us on Tucker Carlson
Thank you
tonight.
so much.